The mail-order bride expected a gentleman. She got a rugged cowboy instead. Alara Dune had imagined her life would be perfect. After months of careful planning and formal correspondence through the galactic matrimony service, she had left her quiet, cultured world of Nereid Station for a life of comfort, sophistication, and gentle manners. She expected a husband who would treat her with respect, who would know proper etiquette, and who would enjoy long evenings of conversation in the soft glow of electric chandeliers. Instead, when she stepped off the transport pod onto the dusty plains of Aurora 9, she was met by a figure as far removed from her expectations as the barren frontier itself. Cole Rourke was a man whose very presence seemed to belong to the untamed land. His sun-baked skin carried the glow of constant exposure to the harsh twin suns, and his hands were rough, calloused from years of taming unpredictable machinery, alien animals, and the merciless terrain itself. His hat was wide-brimmed, his boots thick and worn, and his eyes, sharp, brown, and intelligent, assessed her with a mixture of curiosity and caution. "Oh, you must be Alara," he said, his voice deep but direct, lacking any of the polished softness she had imagined. "Yes," she replied, adjusting the neat folds of her dress. "You must be," she paused, searching for the refinement she had been promised. "Cole," he gave a small nod, brushing a strand of sandy hair from his forehead. "Cole Rourke, I'll take you to the homestead." Alara's stomach sank. She had expected a gentleman with polite smiles, velvet gloves, and subtle charm. Instead, she faced a rugged man who looked more like he belonged on a wild planet than in a drawing room. Still, she reminded herself that appearances were secondary. Perhaps manners could grow over time. Perhaps the man could surprise her. The transport pods hatched sealed behind them, leaving only the endless desert stretching in every direction. The wind blew, carrying grains of red dust that stung her skin and tangled her carefully arranged hair. Aurora 9 was alive in its own harsh way, and it would demand strength, courage, and a willingness to adapt. Cole led her along a beaten path that stretched through jagged rock formations and windswept dunes. Along the way, he spoke of practical matters, water sources, local wildlife, and the occasional hazards of the frontier. His words were blunt but clear. There was no sugarcoating life here. Alara listened carefully, her city-bred nerves quivering under the weight of dust, wind, and exposure to the wild. Yet she could not help but notice the competence in his movements, the careful way he assessed the land, and the quiet confidence that suggested he knew exactly how to survive here. By the time they reached the homestead, a low, sturdy structure of metal panels and reinforced glass, Alara's doubts had only grown. The building was far from the elegant dwelling she had seen in galactic magazines. Yet it was practical, well-maintained, and designed to withstand Aurora 9's harsh weather. Cole unlocked the heavy door and gestured for her to enter. "Welcome home," he said. She stepped inside, her eyes widening at the simplicity. The interior was sparsely furnished. A sturdy table stood in the center, surrounded by chairs, while shelves lined the walls with tools, equipment, and a few personal items. The place had a lived-in feeling, practical and functional, but not at all what she had envisioned. "I see," Alara said, carefully setting down her small trunk. "It's practical," Cole grinned, noticing her hesitation. "Practical keeps you alive out here. Fancy decoration won't." Alara bit her lip, unsure whether to be offended or grateful for his honesty. Perhaps the frontier would be a test of patience, courage, and adaptability. Perhaps it would be a place to grow stronger. Cole showed her around the homestead, pointing out the water filtration system, the storage compartments for food and supplies, and the small greenhouse where he grew hardy crops. Each explanation was filled with expertise, and slowly she began to recognize the quiet brilliance behind his rugged exterior. As the suns began to dip behind distant mountains, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Alara felt a strange mixture of awe and unease. The frontier was beautiful in its rawness, yet unforgiving in its demands. Cole prepared a simple meal, grilled protein packs and roasted vegetables from his greenhouse, and they ate together in companionable silence. Alara watched him work with skilled hands, noticing how efficiently he handled every task. There was a rhythm to his movements, a natural ease that came from years of surviving and thriving on this wild planet. "I never imagined it would be like this," she admitted finally, her voice soft. Cole shrugged. "Most people don't. This place has its beauty, but it's not for everyone. You've got to be ready to work, to adapt, to think on your feet." Alara nodded, realizing that life here demanded more than charm or etiquette. It demanded action, resilience, and courage. That night, as she lay on the firm cot provided for her, she listened to the howls of distant creatures and the hum of Aurora Nine's winds. Sleep came fitfully, her mind racing with doubts, fears, and an unexpected curiosity. The next morning brought a new challenge. A sudden sandstorm rose without warning, sending walls of dust and wind crashing against the homestead. Cole moved with practiced skill, securing the greenhouse, reinforcing windows, and making sure Alara was safe. She watched him and marveled at how he remained calm and composed, even under nature's wrath. "You'll learn to handle this," he said over the roar of the storm. "Or the planet will teach you, whether you like it or not." By midday, the storm had passed, leaving a world washed in stark light and vibrant reds. The air was sharp and clean, and Alara realized that surviving Aurora 9 required more than knowledge. It required heart, determination, and the willingness to confront challenges head-on. In the following days, Cole introduced her to the routines of frontier life. She helped tend the greenhouse, learned to manage water supplies, and even accompanied him on short patrols across the dunes. Each task was exhausting but illuminating. She began to understand why Cole's rough exterior masked such remarkable intelligence and adaptability. One evening, as they rested on the porch watching Aurora Nine's twin moons rise, Alara found herself speaking honestly for the first time. "I expected someone else," she said quietly. Cole looked at her, eyebrows raised. "Someone polite and well-groomed." Alara smiled faintly, a little embarrassed. "Yes, someone refined. Someone who would talk about books and music, someone who would behave like a gentleman." Cole chuckled softly. "Refined doesn't survive long here. Out here you need someone who can think fast, act faster, and keep you alive. That's what I am." For the first time, Alara considered the possibility that survival, courage, and skill mattered more than refinement. Perhaps this rugged cowboy, who seemed so out of place in her expectations, was exactly the kind of human she needed on a planet that demanded more than charm. As the moons rose high, casting silver light over the desert, Alara felt a strange sense of hope. Life on Aurora 9 would be hard, unpredictable, and full of surprises. But for the first time since she had left Nereid Station, she felt ready to face it, not as a pampered bride seeking comfort, but as a human capable of adaptation, courage, and growth. The frontier had welcomed her harshly, but in that harshness lay a promise that in this wild, untamed world, humans like her, and like Cole, were capable of more than anyone could imagine. And as she drifted into sleep, she understood that her journey had only just begun. The sun rose early over Aurora 9, burning the horizon with a fierce golden light. The desert plains shimmered, and the twin moons from the previous night were already fading into the blue morning sky. Alara Dune stirred under the rough blanket Cole had provided. Though she had begun to accept life on this harsh planet, sleep had never been easy. The cold nights, the strange noises outside, and the constant worry about what might come next left her mind restless. Cole was already up, moving with silent efficiency around the homestead. He checked the water tanks, inspected the greenhouse, and made sure the small solar panels were free of dust. Every movement spoke of years of experience, of someone who knew that survival was never accidental. "Morning," Alara said softly, careful not to startle him. "Morning," Cole replied without looking up, his hands busy. "Sleep well." "Not really," she admitted. "The winds and the noises, it's different from what I expected." Cole finally turned toward her, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. "Different is Aurora 9. You get used to it or it teaches you to survive." Alara rose, brushing the dust from her simple dress. "I'm ready to help today. Show me what to do." Cole nodded. "Good. First, we check the perimeter. Then we'll tend to the crops and check the water levels." They stepped outside, and the desert greeted them with a gust of hot wind carrying fine red sand. Alara squinted against it, feeling it sting her skin and cling to her hair. She followed Cole as he moved across the land with confidence, scanning the horizon for signs of danger. "See that ridge over there," he said, pointing to a jagged outcrop. "Last week, a pack of sand wolves made a den there. They're mostly nocturnal, but we need to keep an eye." Sand wolves, Alara thought, shivering slightly at the thought of creatures she had only read about in warning bulletins. Cole seemed unbothered, moving naturally as if danger was simply another element of the land. They walked in silence for a while, the only sound being the crunch of sand under their boots. Cole showed her how to recognize tracks in the shifting sands and how to follow them without alerting the animals. Alara listened carefully, realizing that every step required attention, skill, and awareness she had never needed in her previous life. Back at the homestead, they tended to the greenhouse. Cole demonstrated how to water the crops efficiently, how to prune the plants, and how to reinforce the small protective covers against the frequent dust storms. Alara worked alongside him, her hands rough and sore from labor she had never expected to do. Yet with each task she felt a growing sense of accomplishment. She was learning, adapting, surviving. "You're catching on fast," Cole said as she adjusted a fragile plant under the protective cover. "Most people break after a day or two. You're still standing." Alara smiled faintly. "I don't want to break, I want to fit in, I want to survive." Cole studied her for a moment, then nodded. "That's good, you'll need that attitude here." The afternoon brought new challenges. While checking the water tanks, a sudden tremor shook the ground. Alara stumbled, clutching a support beam, while Cole grabbed her arm to steady her. "An aftershock?" she asked, panic rising. Cole shook his head. "No, something bigger, sandquake. It happens occasionally. Quick, help me secure the tanks before they topple." Together, they worked swiftly, tightening bolts and adjusting braces to keep the heavy water tanks stable. Alara realized that her life here required speed, strength, and clear thinking, qualities no delicate refinement could provide. Once the tanks were secured, Cole wiped his forehead and grinned at her. "Not bad for your first real emergency. You kept your head." Alara's chest swelled with pride. She had survived, contributed, and proved to herself that she could face the wild and unpredictable land. As evening approached, Cole prepared a simple meal over the outdoor stove. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the desert, and the temperature began to drop. Alara watched as Cole worked, efficient, calm, and unbothered by the harsh environment. She realized that the man she had once considered crude and unrefined possessed skills and courage that far surpassed her initial expectations. "Do you ever get used to this?" she asked quietly, watching the smoke curl from the stove. Cole glanced at her, his expression thoughtful. "Used to it? Not really. But you respect it, adapt to it, and you survive. That's the only way." They ate in silence, broken only by the occasional howl of distant creatures. After the meal, Cole suggested a walk across the nearby dunes to stretch their legs. The night was cool, the twin moons glowing softly, and the stars brighter than any Alara had seen on Nereid Station. As they walked, a sudden movement caught their eyes. A creature unlike anything Alara had imagined darted across the dunes, a large, insect-like animal with glowing eyes and long, spindly legs. She froze, unsure what to do. Cole moved instantly, placing himself between the creature and her. "Stay calm," he whispered. "It's more curious than dangerous, but don't make sudden moves." Alara watched as Cole extended his hand, not in fear but in careful control. The creature paused, studying him, then retreated into the dunes. She exhaled slowly, her heart racing. "You see," Cole said, "out here you learn fast. Every living thing tests you. Every step is a lesson." Alara nodded, understanding. The frontier demanded alertness, courage, and respect for life in all its forms. The rugged land, the alien wildlife, and even the harsh weather were teachers. She was learning quickly that survival required more than manners. It required resilience. The next day brought another challenge. A small fire had started in the northern dunes, likely sparked by intense heat and dry brush. Cole immediately gathered tools, and together with Alara, they formed a makeshift barrier to contain the flames. She carried water from the tanks, following his instructions carefully, while he worked with practiced precision to smother the fire. "Alara, move faster with that water," Cole called, urgency in his voice. She ran, pouring the water over dry patches, her muscles burning from exertion. Dust clung to her skin, sweat stung her eyes, but she pushed on, refusing to falter. The fire hissed and spat smoke, but with their combined efforts they finally managed to contain it. Cole clapped her on the shoulder. "Not bad. You didn't panic and you kept moving. That's how humans survive out here." Alara felt a surge of pride. She was no longer the delicate bride who had imagined a life of soft comforts. She was learning to become someone who could endure, adapt, and face danger head-on. That evening, they returned to the homestead exhausted but triumphant. Cole tended to the greenhouse again while Alara cleaned up and prepared a simple meal. As they ate, they discussed the events of the day, sharing strategies and observations. Alara realized that she was beginning to understand the rhythm of life on Aurora 9, the way every challenge, every hazard was a test of intelligence, courage, and adaptability. "You're learning fast," Cole said between bites. "Most people would have given up after a few days." "You've got guts." Alara smiled, a genuine, confident smile. "I'm trying. I want to be ready for whatever comes next." Cole nodded, satisfied. "That's good, because Aurora 9 always has something next. Always." As the twin moons rose, casting silver light across the desert, Alara stood outside for a moment, gazing at the horizon. The land was harsh, wild, and unpredictable, but it was alive. It demanded her attention, her skill, and her courage. And for the first time, she felt a deep sense of respect for the man beside her. The rugged, skilled human cowboy who had become her teacher, guide, and protector. She understood now that the life she had expected, the life of soft comforts and gentle manners, was not what she needed. Out here, survival, courage, and ingenuity mattered more than elegance or refinement. Cole embodied all of that, and perhaps, she thought, that was far more valuable than any polished gentleman she could have imagined. The nights that followed were filled with more lessons, small victories, and challenges. Alara learned to navigate the desert, to respect the wildlife, and to manage resources carefully. Each day strengthened her resolve and her understanding of the harsh beauty of the frontier. By the end of the week, Alara knew something important. She was changing. She was becoming capable, adaptable, and resilient. And as she looked at Cole one evening, silhouetted against the setting suns, she realized that the rugged cowboy she had once doubted might just be the partner she needed to survive and thrive in this wild, untamed world. The frontier was testing her in every way, but she had learned the most important lesson. Humans, with courage, intelligence, and perseverance, could endure anything. And so, under the endless sky of Aurora 9, Alara Dune took her first real steps toward becoming someone who could survive and even flourish on the wild frontier, guided by the skill, wisdom, and unshakable humanity of Cole Rourke. Aurora 9 was never quiet for long. Just as Ilara had begun to feel a small sense of comfort in the routines of frontier life, a new challenge arrived, one that would test both her courage and her creativity. It began with a distant hum, low and mechanical, that vibrated through the desert plains. Cole had been repairing the solar panels when he noticed it. He froze, listening carefully. "Do you hear that?" he asked, squinting at the horizon. Ilara tilted her head. The sound was faint but persistent. "It's coming closer," she said. Cole's jaw tightened. "Rival colony ships, they're coming to claim this land." Ilara's heart skipped a beat. She had known the frontier was dangerous, but she had never imagined other humans might be a threat. She looked at Cole, unsure of what to do. "We need to prepare," Cole said firmly. "They have tech, weapons, and manpower, but we have humans." Ilara blinked. "Humans?" He gave her a sharp look. "Intelligence, creativity, courage, things no machine can replicate, that's our edge." Within minutes, Cole was organizing the settlement. He instructed the settlers to gather supplies, fortify the homestead, and create lookout points across the dunes. Ilara noticed how he moved naturally, giving orders without arrogance, listening to suggestions, and adjusting plans on the fly. Ilara wanted to help, but at first she felt useless. She had never handled weapons, strategized under pressure, or led a group. But Cole didn't let her stand aside. "You can help me plan," he said. "We need ideas. Brains matter as much as brawn." She nodded, eager to contribute. For the first time, she realized that the life she had once imagined, full of etiquette and conversation, had value only in its lessons. Those lessons could now be applied to survival, strategy, and innovation. Ilara and Cole retreated to the small table in the homestead, spreading out maps of the surrounding dunes. She began analyzing the terrain, noting choke points, ridges, and natural barriers. Cole listened intently, impressed by her observations. "Good," he said. "We can use these ridges to hide supply routes. The dunes will make it hard for them to spot our movements, and we can set traps using the natural terrain." Ilara felt a thrill of pride. Her city-learned knowledge of logistics, problem-solving, and observation was suddenly crucial. She was contributing to the safety of the colony, something she had never imagined doing back on Nereid Station. By midday, preparations were underway. Settlers dug trenches, reinforced walls, and set up observation posts. Ilara worked alongside them, coordinating the placement of resources, warning of potential hazards, and helping to calm nervous newcomers. Cole's confidence and leadership made the group efficient, but Ilara's intelligence and planning added a layer of strategy that gave them hope. As the sun reached its peak, the rival colony's ships appeared on the horizon. Sleek, metallic, and intimidating, they hovered above the dunes, scanning for signs of life. "They're scouting," Cole said, his voice low. "Stay calm, don't panic." Ilara's heart raced. She had never seen machines like this in action. The hum of their engines filled the air, and the desert seemed smaller under their shadow. But she remembered Cole's words: humans have an edge. Intelligence, adaptability, courage. "Use the terrain," she suggested suddenly. "Set up decoys in the ridges. Make them think the settlement is bigger than it is." Cole's eyes lit up. "Exactly. Let's make them waste time, resources, and attention on fake targets." Together, they led the settlers in creating clever distractions. Small fires, camouflage tents, and decoy supply caches were strategically placed. Each action required precision, timing, and coordination, a delicate balance between creativity and practicality. The rival colony landed small scout drones to investigate, but they were confused by the clever decoys. Some wandered into sand traps, others were blocked by cleverly arranged barriers. The humans of Aurora 9 had used ingenuity to turn their disadvantage, the smaller population and limited tech, into an advantage. Ilara watched in awe as Cole and the settlers worked together. She realized that human adaptability was a power beyond technology. Machines could be predictable, but humans could anticipate, improvise, and outthink. Hours passed. The rival colonies' drones struggled against the obstacles, and their ships hovered indecisively, unsure of where the real settlement lay. Cole and Alara coordinated every move, refining tactics and improvising solutions. By late afternoon, the rival colony withdrew, unable to penetrate the defenses or locate the real settlement. The humans of Aurora 9 had won, not through superior weaponry, but through intelligence, courage, and creativity. Alara felt a mixture of relief and pride. She had helped protect the settlement. She had contributed to a victory that machines or brute force alone could not achieve. She understood more deeply than ever the human edge, the ability to survive, adapt, and triumph where others might fail. That evening, the settlement gathered to celebrate. Fires were lit, and simple meals were shared under the stars. Alara sat beside Cole, exhaustion in her body but exhilaration in her spirit. "You did well today," Cole said quietly. "You kept your head and contributed. You helped save this settlement." Alara smiled. "I never thought I could do something like this. I never imagined that I could be useful in such a dangerous place." Cole shook his head. "Danger doesn't care about imagination. Only action matters, and humans act. Humans survive. Humans win." She looked at him, seeing him in a new light. The rugged exterior, the rough manners, the dust-stained clothes, all of it was less important than the courage, intelligence, and resourcefulness he had shown. She realized that the refined gentleman she had expected could never have led a settlement to safety, could never have inspired courage and hope under threat. The days that followed were filled with rebuilding and planning. The rival colony had left warnings, but Aurora 9's humans had grown stronger, more confident, and more united. Alara worked closely with Cole, learning to think like him, anticipate problems, and act decisively. One afternoon, while inspecting the dunes, Alara spotted a small alien creature tangled in debris. Its legs were broken and it struggled to move. "Help it?" she asked, unsure. Cole nodded. "All life matters, even this one. Humans survive because we understand life, not just dominate it." Alara carefully freed the creature and tended to its wounds. She watched as it slowly regained strength, then hopped away into the desert. A simple act, yet it reminded her of the core of human strength, empathy combined with action. That night under the twin moons, Alara spoke with Cole about what had happened. "I never knew survival could be so complex," she said. "It's not just about strength or skill. It's about thinking, adapting, and caring for others." Cole nodded. "Exactly. That's what makes humans strong. Machines can follow orders, but humans can solve problems, improvise, and care. That's the edge we always have." Alara felt a deep sense of connection, not just to Cole, but to humanity itself. The frontier had shown her that courage, intelligence, and empathy were not just virtues. They were tools of survival, weapons in their own right. In the following days, Aurora 9 settlers grew more confident. Patrols were organized, resources managed efficiently, and the settlement became a hub of human ingenuity. Alara worked tirelessly, planning supply routes, coordinating defenses, and sharing her observations about the terrain. Cole watched her closely, impressed by her growth. She had transformed from a hesitant, cultured bride into a capable, confident woman, someone who could survive and contribute in the wildest conditions. One evening, as the sun set and the desert glowed in fiery red and orange, Cole and Alara stood atop a ridge, looking over the settlement. The air was calm, the threats of the day behind them, but they both knew that the frontier never rested. There would always be challenges, always dangers, always lessons to learn. "You've changed," Cole said quietly. Alara smiled. "I've learned. I've learned what it means to be human on a frontier like this, to survive, to fight, and to think." Cole looked at her, eyes softening. "You're ready for whatever comes next, and together we'll face it. Humans always do." As the stars appeared in the night sky, Alara realized something profound. Survival on Aurora 9 was not about technology, wealth, or refinement. It was about courage, intelligence, and adaptability. Humans, she and Cole, were uniquely capable of facing the challenges of this wild, untamed world. And for the first time, she felt not fear or doubt, but excitement. The frontier was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable. But with human ingenuity, courage, and determination, anything was possible. Aurora 9 was testing them, pushing them to the limits of endurance and intelligence. But humans had the edge. And that edge would see them through every trial, every danger, and every unknown that lay ahead. Alara knew this. She had arrived expecting a life of comfort and refinement. Instead, she had found adventure, challenge, and the true power of humanity. And she had found Cole, the rugged cowboy, fearless and brilliant, whose heart and mind embodied the strength of their species. Together, they were unstoppable. Aurora 9 had settled into a fragile calm after the encounter with the rival colony. The humans of the settlement had grown stronger, smarter, and more confident. Alara Dune had learned to think like a frontier survivor, to anticipate danger, and to act decisively. But the planet was never truly at peace. It started with a discovery. While inspecting the dunes east of the settlement, Cole stumbled upon a strange metallic object half buried in the sand. Its surface was smooth and shiny, with markings that glowed faintly under the twin suns. "Alara," Cole called, excitement in his voice. "You need to see this." Alara hurried to his side, brushing sand from her boots. She crouched beside the object, studying it carefully. "What is it?" she asked, awe in her voice. Cole shook his head. "Don't know, but it's not natural, and it's definitely old, possibly pre-colony, maybe even alien." Alara felt a shiver run down her spine. Alien artifacts were rare and often dangerous, yet she couldn't deny the pull of curiosity. "We should study it," she said. "Try to understand it before we disturb it too much." Cole nodded. "Agreed. Let's bring it back to the homestead." Moving the heavy object took hours. Cole and Alara improvised a sled using reinforced panels and ropes, dragging it across the desert with strength and careful coordination. The twin suns beat down on them, the red sand shifting beneath their boots. But together, they managed the impossible, proving once more that human determination could overcome even the harshest conditions. Back at the homestead, they cleared a secure area for study. Alara carefully examined the object, noting the intricate markings, the way it emitted light in irregular pulses, and the strange hum that seemed to resonate through the ground. "It's alive in some way," she said slowly. "Not biological, but it responds. Maybe to sound, light, or movement." Cole studied her, impressed by her insight. "Then we need to be careful. If it reacts, we don't know what could happen." Over the next few days, they ran tests. They tapped the surface, exposed it to light, and even gently traced the markings with their fingers. Each interaction caused faint pulses of energy, small but undeniable. The artifact seemed intelligent, capable of responding to human curiosity. But with intelligence came danger. On the third day of testing, a sudden surge of energy shot from the artifact, knocking both Cole and Alara to the ground. Sparks danced in the air, and a low vibration shook the homestead. Alara scrambled to her feet, heart pounding. "Cole. Are we okay?" Cole coughed, brushing dust from his face. "Yeah, but that was close. Whatever this is, it's powerful." They realized they needed a plan. The artifact could not be ignored. It was clearly not only ancient but potentially dangerous. Yet understanding it could provide insights, tools, or knowledge beyond human imagination. Alara suggested mapping the artifact's behavior, observing its patterns, and predicting reactions. "If we can understand it, we can control it," she said. Cole nodded. "Right. Humans survive by learning, not by fearing. Let's do it carefully." Over the next week, they experimented cautiously. They discovered that sound patterns affected the glowing markings. that specific light angles triggered pulses, and that temperature changes altered its resonance. With each observation, they became more confident in predicting its behavior. Then one night the artifact activated fully. The glowing markings expanded, forming a grid-like pattern across the desert. A low hum resonated across the dunes, and a doorway of shimmering light appeared, hovering just above the sand. Alara gasped. It's opening something." A portal, Cole stepped forward cautiously, hands raised. "Maybe, could be a doorway, could be a trap. We need to understand before we go in." But understanding was not easy. The artifact's energy pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. Alara noticed subtle shifts in the light, faint images appearing within the glow, shapes of unknown creatures, landscapes and symbols that seemed familiar yet alien. "We need more data," she said. "We can't just walk in blindly." But the curiosity, it's overwhelming. Cole placed a firm hand on her shoulder. "Curiosity is human, yes, but survival is smarter curiosity. We need to observe, test, and plan." They set up sensors around the portal, recording energy patterns, light sequences, and vibrations. The more they observed, the more they realized the artifact was not a simple object. It was a complex system, possibly intelligent, capable of interacting with humans in ways they had never imagined. As days passed, strange phenomena began to affect the settlement. Tools moved slightly on their own, faint whispers carried on the wind, and nocturnal creatures seemed drawn to the glowing energy. Alara and Cole realized that while the artifact held incredible potential, it also posed real danger. One night, Alara could not sleep. She walked to the edge of the settlement, gazing at the glowing portal in the distance. The desert was quiet, but the hum of energy thrummed in her chest. She felt both fear and fascination. Cole joined her, silent at first, then speaking softly. "You feel it too, don't you?" Alara nodded. "It's calling us, but I don't know what for." Cole looked at her with intensity. "Whatever it is, humans will figure it out. We adapt, we survive, we learn, that's our strength." Alara smiled faintly. "Yes, humans survive, and we are human. Together we can face it." The next day they approached the portal carefully, equipped with tools, protective gear, and sensors. Each step was cautious, every movement deliberate. Alara felt a mix of fear and excitement. This was beyond anything she had ever imagined on Aurora 9. The closer they got, the more the portal responded. Light patterns shifted in response to their movement, and the hum became a melody of vibrations. Alara realized the artifact was communicating, learning from them as much as they were learning from it. Cole studied the glowing patterns, his analytical mind racing. "It's intelligent, it's adapting to us, responding to us." Alara nodded. "Then we need to communicate carefully, slow, deliberate movements, observe, learn, respond." Over hours, they tested the portal, finding sequences of sound, movement, and light that caused specific responses. Small changes in posture, gestures, or sound tones caused the portal to expand, contract, or shift. Then, unexpectedly, a projection appeared within the portal, a holographic image of an alien landscape, glowing with soft light, filled with creatures and structures that seemed impossible. Alara gasped, recognizing that this might be a window into another world, another civilization. Cole looked at her, eyes wide. "We've found something incredible, but we need to be careful. Humans can survive here, but we have to survive there too, if we go through." Alara nodded, heart pounding. "We can do it together. Humans always find a way." As they worked late into the night, observing and recording, a new understanding emerged. The artifact was not merely a portal, it was a test. It responded to intelligence, curiosity, and careful observation. It rewarded caution, ingenuity, and cooperation, the very qualities that defined human survival. Alara felt a deep sense of pride. Humans had faced countless challenges on Aurora 9, from sandstorms to rival colonies. They had survived, adapted, and thrived. And now, faced with an unknown alien intelligence, they were proving once again that their greatest strength was their mind, their courage, and their unity. By dawn, they had mapped several response patterns and identified safe sequences that allowed interaction with the portal. The settlement was still cautious, but curiosity and hope sparked in the hearts of the settlers. Humans had faced death, storms, rival colonies, and alien wildlife, and they had survived. Now they stood on the threshold of something far greater. Alara and Cole returned to the homestead, exhausted but exhilarated. The twin suns rose over the dunes, illuminating the portal's glow in the distance. Alara felt a sense of purpose she had never known. The frontier had shaped her, tested her, and revealed the strength of her species. Cole placed a hand on her shoulder. Whatever happens next, humans will face it. We adapt, we learn, and we survive. That's the edge no one can take from us. Alara smiled, looking toward the portal. Yes, humans survive, and we are ready. As Aurora Nine's desert stretched endlessly before them, the settlement buzzed with renewed energy. They had faced the unknown and emerged stronger. Humans had conquered the challenges of nature, technology, and now, the mysteries of an alien intelligence. Alara felt a thrill of anticipation. The artifact, the portal, the unknown world beyond. It was dangerous, yes, but also a new frontier. And humans with courage, ingenuity, and determination were ready to face it. The planet tested them relentlessly, but humans had the edge. Intelligence, courage, adaptability, and unity. These were weapons no machine, no alien, no obstacle could match. And as she stood beside Cole, looking at the glowing portal that pulsed like a heartbeat in the desert, Alara knew one truth: humans were capable of facing anything. Aurora 9 had taught her lessons of survival, courage, and ingenuity. And now, humanity was about to take the next step into the unknown. Together, Alara and Cole would face it, and they would thrive, as humans always did. Aurora Nine's twin suns rose slowly over the desert horizon, casting long shadows across the dunes. The humans of the settlement had grown stronger, braver, and more resourceful with every passing day. They had faced rival colonies, alien wildlife, sandstorms, and the mysterious artifact that pulsed with intelligence in the eastern dunes. Alara Dune stood beside Cole Rourke at the edge of the homestead, looking toward the glowing portal. Weeks of careful study had revealed patterns in its energy pulses, safe sequences for interaction, and hints that it might lead to another world, or perhaps several. "We're ready," Alara said, her voice steady. She had changed from the fragile, timid bride who had first arrived. Now she was confident, capable, and courageous. Her hands were calloused from labor, her skin tanned from the suns, and her mind sharpened from days of strategy and observation. Cole looked at her, a mix of pride and admiration in his eyes. "Are you sure? Once we go through, we don't know what we'll face." Alara nodded firmly. "Humans survive, we adapt, and we do it together." Cole smiled, tipping his hat. "Then let's see what the universe has in store for us." They stepped carefully toward the portal, their movements deliberate. The artifact pulsed in response, light shifting with each step. It was almost alive, and Alara felt a thrill of both fear and wonder. As they passed through the threshold, a wave of light enveloped them. For a moment, the desert vanished, replaced by a sensation of weightlessness, as if they were floating in a sea of energy. The hum of the artifact became a melody that resonated through their bones. When the light faded, they found themselves on a landscape unlike anything on Aurora 9. Towering crystalline structures rose from the ground, glowing softly. Rivers of liquid light flowed between the formations, and strange, gentle creatures moved gracefully among the terrain. The air was alive with energy, but breathable, warm, and surprisingly familiar. Alara stepped forward cautiously. "It's beautiful." Cole nodded, scanning the surroundings. "And it's alien, but we can survive here. We've survived worse." They explored carefully, observing the creatures, the flowing light, and the crystal structures. The landscape seemed almost intelligent, responding subtly to their movements, adjusting pathways and guiding them forward. "This place," Alara said, awed. "It's like it wants us to learn to understand." Cole nodded. "Humans learn fast and humans survive. That's our edge." Hours passed as they explored, documenting patterns, mapping safe zones, and interacting carefully with the environment. They realized that the crystal structures responded to human thought and action. Moving with precision, humans could navigate safely. Hasty or reckless movement triggered defensive pulses. Alara smiled, realizing this was a test like the artifact on Aurora 9, but amplified. Their intelligence, courage, and careful observation were key to survival. As they ventured further, they discovered a small structure at the heart of the crystalline landscape. It resembled a temple, carved from glowing crystal, with inscriptions and symbols that seemed to tell a story. Cole studied it carefully. "It looks like a message, or instructions, maybe from the civilization that created this place." Alara traced her fingers along the symbols, trying to decipher meaning. Her mind raced with the logic and patterns she had learned on Aurora 9. Slowly she began to interpret the sequence, realizing it described safe paths, energy flows, and interactions with the creatures. "This is incredible," she said softly. The creators designed a way to test visitors, intelligence, adaptability, courage, and reward those who succeed. Cole grinned. "Humans excel at that. We think, adapt, and survive. That's why we're here." They spent several days exploring the alien landscape, documenting every observation, and sharing discoveries with the settlers back on Aurora 9 via a secure communication link. The information would help the colony understand the portal and prepare for future exploration. One day, as they navigated a narrow crystalline ridge, a sudden tremor shook the ground. A massive crystal creature emerged, its body shimmering with energy. It moved slowly but deliberately, its gaze fixed on them. Cole stepped protectively in front of Alara. "Stay calm. Humans survive because we stay calm." Alara nodded, heart pounding. She remembered the lessons of Aurora 9, observe, adapt, act. Slowly she extended a hand, mirroring the calm posture Cole maintained. The creature paused, studying them, then slowly lowered its energy field. "It's testing us," Alara whispered. "We have to show we're worthy." Cole nodded. Together they moved with deliberate care, demonstrating intelligence, empathy, and calm action. The creature allowed them to pass, guiding them further into the landscape. By the end of the day, they reached the center of the alien world, a vast crystal basin filled with glowing pools of liquid energy. The air was charged with a hum that resonated with their own heartbeat. Alara felt a profound connection to the place, as if it recognized the courage and ingenuity of humans. "This is incredible," she said. "It's not just a test, it's a gift." Cole nodded, taking her hand. "Humans thrive where others fail. We adapt, we survive, and we learn. That's what this place is showing us." As they stood together, watching the energy flow around them, Alara realized something else. Her partnership with Cole had grown far beyond survival. They had become equals, companions, and partners in every sense. The rugged cowboy who had seemed so different from the man she expected had taught her more about courage, intelligence, and humanity than any gentleman ever could. Cole looked at her, eyes softening. "We've faced the desert, rival colonies, alien creatures, and now this." "Together," Alara smiled. "Yes, together. Humans survive and humans thrive." They returned to the settlement with knowledge that would change the future of Aurora 9. The portal's secrets, once unlocked, offered new opportunities, new resources, and new possibilities for exploration. But more importantly, it reinforced the lessons they had learned. Human intelligence, courage, empathy, and adaptability were unmatched. In the weeks that followed, Alara and Cole led expeditions through the portal, mapping the alien world, documenting life forms, and bringing back data that would help the colony expand. Their leadership inspired settlers, and their partnership became a symbol of human resilience and ingenuity. One evening, as the sun set over the desert, Alara and Cole sat together on a dune, watching the settlement glow with life. "We've come far," Alara said softly. "From the day I arrived expecting a gentle life to now exploring alien worlds and leading a colony." Cole smiled, brushing sand from her hair. "And we've survived every challenge, because we're human, because we adapt, because we act." Alara laughed softly. "And because we do it together." Cole reached for her hand. "Together, always." The night was calm, filled with stars and the soft glow of the settlement. Alara felt a deep sense of fulfillment, understanding that life on Aurora 9 had given her far more than she had ever imagined. She had found courage, skill, adventure, and a partnership built on trust and respect. Aurora 9 was no longer just a frontier planet. It was home, a home where humans could thrive, innovate, and face the unknown with bravery and intelligence. And she, Alara Dune, had become a true human of the frontier, equal to the challenges, equal to the land, and equal to the rugged cowboy who had transformed her life. Cole looked at her one last time, his eyes reflecting the twin moon's glow. "This is just the beginning," he said. "Humans survive, humans adapt, humans explore, and we'll do it together." Alara squeezed his hand. "Yes, together." And so, on the edge of known space, in the deserts of Aurora 9 and beyond the portal into alien worlds, humans had proven once again that they were extraordinary. Not because of wealth, technology, or refinement, but because of intelligence, courage, empathy, and the unbreakable will to survive and thrive. The frontier had tested them, challenged them, and transformed them. And in the glow of the twin moons and the shimmering alien portal, Alara and Cole, humans through and through, looked forward to endless possibilities. Humans had faced every trial, conquered every challenge, and proven that they were, above all else, unstoppable. Together, they stepped forward, ready for whatever the universe would offer next.